Welcome back to the Character Corner with your hosts, Kriss and Dpalm. And we are here to do part 2 of our Heroes for Hire Character Corner. We were going with Iron Fist and the lovely Colleen. Yeah, man, let's get right into this. We were just talking before we got started with this one. You're kind of worried about doing this one. You want to explain to people why you got a little worried about doing this Iron Fist.
So the opening reviews of the Iron Fist show started to come out, and we usually time these up to sync with media properties and things that are going to be all, a little synchronicity. And this is coming out around the time of the release, and so the reviews are out, and people are apparently panning it. I haven't read any reviews yet. I don't know if you have, Kriss. I've been avoiding them.
Yeah, I've been pretty much avoiding them because here's the thing about these reviews with these. They're only the first 6 episodes, so again, that doesn't mean that they're not wrong or right. But also, this is a property that's had basically a 2.5-year campaign against it kind of way. And I'm not saying the campaign was bad or anything. I think there was a very noble and righteous campaign that Marvel TV should have listened to. But once you have that kind of blowback, it's really hard to bounce back from that because that's always going to be in the back of everybody's minds. And reviewers are people too. We like to claim we're unbiased, but we're not. I mean, things like that affect us. And yeah, so I'm not really too shocked by the reviews that's getting right now. But yeah.
Yeah, and so part of it is the problematic nature of the origin of the character and that nature, and we're going to talk about that here. But you started seeing the backlash come out of places that are illogical. People were like, no one's ever liked Iron Fist. They shouldn't have made this show. I'm like, well, wait a second. Because I got these here sales charts, and as much as you and I love Luke Cage and we love Jessica Jones, their books have never sold like Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Even when you add them together, you put Heroes to Hire books don't sell as well as Iron Fist books. For one reason or another, people have an interest in this character. And I think going back and reading these issues, and especially some of the newer stuff, it reminds me why.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when we get down to that Fraction and Brubaker run of Immortal Iron Fist, and I think even the newer one with what's it, the Living Weapon, and then the stuff that David Walker's writing with Power Man and Iron Fist, like all that stuff. Like again, we're gonna get into this, and I think it's very important to address the problematic nature of the character to begin with. But outside of just completely getting rid of the character and completely re-envisioning it, I think what they've done is they've done the best they could to make the most out of it. And I'll be honest, it's, the problematic things are still there, but I enjoyed reading some of this stuff.
I enjoyed reading a lot of it.
Like even some of the older stuff, like you'll probably be more up on some of the newer stuff just because I went back and I started reading some of the older stuff. I know his first appearance is Marvel Premiere 15. So I read that, and I think he goes until in Marvel Premiere until issue 23 or 24, and then that's when his solo series starts. Right. And it's one long story, and where they introduce all these characters. You do have Misty Knight showing up. Colleen is introduced. Like it's not bad. Again, problematic stuff's there, definitely. Yeah. But and I hate to say that aside, it can be enjoyable. But I think what it is in today's world of 2017, you couldn't write what they wrote in the 70s.
Yeah,
in 2017. You
couldn't invent this character today.
Right. You couldn't do that. Absolutely.
But you couldn't invent Falcon today either, the way they invented Falcon.
And that's what I'm about to say. Like when I'm going back and reading the early runs of the early Iron Fist stuff with Danny Rand, the first thing that popped in my mind was the early Sam Wilson, even the early Luke Cage, Snap Wilson, the early Luke Cage stuff. Like all of that stuff today is very, very problematic. But what Marvel does is we talked about this before. Marvel doesn't erase their character's history for the most part. They usually, for the most part, there's a straight line you can connect it to. They might every now and then they'll retcon some stuff here and there, but you usually have a straight line to that. So, hey, Luke Cage did wear the tiara and that that gold shirt. He did. He had the bracelets. You know, Sam Wilson was Snap Wilson at one point. You know, he remembers that. Like, these things are part of that character's history. And in a way, while it's problematic and we look back at that stuff and we shake our fists at Marvel for not just completely throwing all that stuff in the trash, I go back and think about our Wonder Woman character corner and go, it could have been that. Right?
And that's me too. That's where I am. I'm like, look, I get it. You know, it's like saying you can't tell any good Mandarin stories. Right. Matt Fraction's proved that wrong.
Right. Right.
But that's a character built on like the fear of the East. Like that's a character that is just one horrific Asian trope after another. But I can still read those stories and be entertained and allow myself and to not say that the origin invalidates anything you can do with the character.
Right. And
I think the best part about Danny Rand is he gets painted by a lot of people who aren't as in depth, who haven't done like the deeper read, just see the character and jump to certain conclusions. They say he's a white savior trope. No, like you realize that it's the subversion of that trope.
Right.
Is when he got the choice to choose between eating from the immortal fruit and staying in paradise and fulfilling his duty, he said, "Fuck that."
Right.
He's an idiot. Like, and his entire story is about why that was the wrongest choice he's ever made and how he's failed everyone around him.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like the opening of the news, and I'm reading them. Like you said, I'm reading. So Kari Andrews is writing and drawing this one.
Mm.
It's really good, but it opens with him talking about how he's the double-edged blade. He cuts himself and cuts others, but he said that he was given a choice between life and death, and he chose death. And his entire story is about how he chose wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when we get to that, the Fraction and Brubaker run, I mean, it's basically, you find you find out the legend of the Iron Fist, and they don't make it past age of 33, and like their whole mission is eventually to die, you know, and to come to an end. Like, you are a living weapon, and at some point your use is up, and you die, and then you're replaced, you know. And it really, like, again, like, there are definitely white savior tropes in there. You know, as we go around into it, but it's not as bad as some of the other things I've seen. And I think Marvel has tried, at least in the comics. I don't know what they're doing in the show. I have not seen it yet, but I know in the comics they've at least tried to get away from that. And again, some of the stuff I don't think you can run from. I mean, you're just not going to be able to run from it. And like Should the character of Danny Rand have started off and always have been an Asian American? Probably. Yeah. No, I'm not even gonna say probably. I'm gonna say should have, or any other race that's not white. You know, right? Should have been that way. Because the early Iron Fist stuff, when you're going in through Marvel Premiere, the solo Iron Fist run, the Power Man and Iron Fist stuff, you got a lot of the stuff, the background of him and his father and his lineage and stuff like that, and it really does come down to, oh wait, so these white dudes are just, these outsiders were always destined for this. So it feels kind of heavy on that. So yeah, you can get away from all that if you had just made it an Asian American character. And actually, in a way, it would have probably made a little bit more sense in some respects for some of that convoluted background with his family and stuff like that. And it would have, and we wouldn't be here where we're at now in 2017. Feeling like we have to try to defend a character that does have some good reads and does have some good things about him. But there's this one really, really big thing that,
you know what it reminds me of?
What?
So if Danny Rand is the worst of the kung fu tropes of the 70s, Luke Cage is the worst of the blaxploitation ones.
Yeah.
They're two sides of that same coin, but we don't hold that original sin as much against Luke Cage. Mm-hmm. And that's really the difference for me.
And well, you know why I think we don't? Because I think that Yeah, the blaxploitation stuff was, hate it or love it, was still part of black culture. So you still had a black character who had that background and who could grow from it. There's no way for Danny Rand to outgrow being a white dude.
You're right. No, you're right.
And I think that's where the problem. I think that's why, compared to all the other characters that have had, again, Marvel doesn't. There are a lot of questionable character origins out there. Like, and we've covered some of them. Like I said, Sam Wilson, Luke Cage, Misty Knight, even. We have some of that thing.
Let's not really have we should, the character corner on Captain Marvel, whenever we do it, Carol Danvers is going to be real fucking interesting. I got to skip a bunch of stuff in there.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Also, I can't discuss this.
Right. Like Captain Marvel, he's like, oh man, there's a lot of we got to jump all the way. And which Captain Marvel are we doing again?
See, it's time travel, impregnated, like it's very weird.
Right. But
it's all very strange.
Right. But the reason why Danny stands out and literally becomes a foil for everybody and the lightning rod for everything is because, dude, you're white. Like no matter what these other people can get away with doing and they can grow from that, you can't change your skin color, bro. Like you're always gonna be this white dude who knows kung fu, and that is just in this day and age, it's frowned upon, and it should be because of everything else going on, and unfortunately, like I think that if since the time the Iron Fist came out, because his first appearance is what 1970, it's May 1974, right? If in the time between May 1974 and March 2017, we had grown as a nation, and we had given Asian Americans and Asian characters more shine, and we had given them more prominent books and things like that, I think the Danny Rand wouldn't be the lightning rod he is right now. The problem is that we've had all those years and we haven't done that. And so here you are where, women have gotten their character on Netflix, black people have gotten their character on Netflix. We're getting, our characters in movies. And now you're coming out here with Iron Fist, which is literally should be a kung fu movie, and you have a white dude, and it's just that's hard to overcome. So even if there are good stuff here, and like I said, we're gonna go into some of these good things, like it's really hard to defend because you can't defend it, because overall we've let people down. We haven't held these creators and these publishers and these studios accountable for giving us the white savior tropes and the appropriation tropes and then not correcting it. And we're doing it now. They're starting to slowly, but god damn it, man. 40, 50 years?
No, you're right, 100%.
So,
but I think that particularly on the larger scale, we're seeing even Marvel start to take some of that back. Like Elektra in the comics is a Greek woman.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And like I think that's like it's sort of something that I think is underplayed and didn't get mentioned a lot because it honestly feels in Daredevil. Well, why wouldn't she be Asian?
Right.
And that's kind of I think that the creator said like you know what this is, and they addressed it in the show and I think that was a good step, and I think that the Danny Rand thing, it's the elephant in the very, very, very small room.
Yeah.
It's taking up all the space.
Yeah. And so, all right, so let's move into this, let's see, co-creator, Roy Thompson. I think this is who, this is what he said about Iron Fist. Started Iron Fist because I had seen my first Kung Fu movie even before a Bruce Lee one came out. And it had a thing called The Ceremony of the Iron Fist in it. And I thought that was a good name. And we already had Masters of Kung Fu going. But I thought maybe a superhero called Iron Fist, even though we had Iron Man, would be a good idea. Stan Lee liked the name, so I got a hold of Gil. And we brought in his amazing man influence. And we designed a character together. So that's how we got Iron Fist and Danny Rand. when you get that Marvel Premiere 15, and I like how they did this throughout Marvel Premiere. I guess through 15 through 25 is where you have that initial Iron Fist run with Danny Rand and Marvel Premiere. I really like how they did it in that you would get the flashbacks to how his origin while he's doing other things. So you're in the present where he's already Iron Fist, and he's like, let's say he's fighting somebody, let's say he gets hit, and he has this flashback to his to when his mom died, or to when Meacham betrayed his father and things like that. So you get his origin throughout these 25 these 10 issues in that way. I thought that was an interesting story device for telling a modern story, but also giving you the background on the character as you go along. So you don't get the full story. Matter of fact, you don't get the full story, I think, until you get through some of the Iron Fist stuff too. But for those first few issues, that's how you're getting the origin of how Danny, got to be.
I liked how they did that, the slow rollout of the origin for him, because it made it feel, once you learned more, it gave the earlier stuff even more pathos, and it felt like maybe a little bit heavier.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, oh, this guy's just you think of him as one way, and he portrays him one way, but then you see just what the character had to get through to get to where he is. Yeah. And it was kind of almost like a shortcut Marvel method of, we could tell this long story about this kid for a long time, or we could utilize a bunch of flashbacks. You want to talk about Iron Fist powers?
Yeah, go through that real quick.
Well, Iron Fist, Danny Rand is, he was trained at Kunlun to be, like we said, the ultimate weapon, the living weapon. He knows many forms of kung fu, many forms of martial arts, and his main power, his namesake power, is his ability to transform his fist by channeling his chi into a weapon of iron. And he has done lots of feats with it. He's destroyed a train as it hit him full speed with his fist. So that gives awesome. You a pretty good sense of the...
Yeah, huh? That was awesome, by the way.
The Iron Fist is objectively a very cool thing.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, because it surprises him sometimes when he lives after using it. It's like, I thought I was gonna die there. Oh, yeah, okay, maybe not.
It's the ease with which he's accepted his eventual death is very unsettling when you read him too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. It's he's taken down Colossus with the Iron Fist. This thing is it's used, and the thing about it is he uses it sparingly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think one of the cooler things about the character, because he tries to practice that restraint, only breaking out when he needs to, because you realize that afterwards that a lot of his fights don't need to be as long as they are.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He can also heal himself. You see that a lot of times. Again, a lot of it comes through the concentration and focusing of his chi. Like, that's where a lot of this stuff comes from. Enhanced physical attributes, healing powers. And this comes into the Colleen thing later on. This telepathic mind fusion thing he does, which comes in later with her character, early on in the run. So yeah, and yeah, he also has the ability just to be. He's also really, really rich.
Oh, that's also the last and most important power.
Yeah,
he's richer than you.
Yeah, that's just like really, 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 really rich.
Really rich.
Really rich. Yeah. All right. So and what I like what they did with the origin is, like you said, you don't get the full origin about his father, Wendell Rand, and because when you first read this, you're like, all right, cool, this is the whitest shit ever. Wendell takes him. he takes his little son. I think his wife was no, it's not Miranda. What was his wife's name?
Hold on, I just had it.
It was Heather. Heather Duncan, Daniel, and he goes with his business partner Wendell, and they're going to find this mystical city of Kunlun, and they're hiking through, like, I guess the Himalayas. Something I can't remember where exactly they're.
It's the Himalayas.
Is the Himalayas?
They're hiking through the Himalayas
with a 9-year-old. Right, with a 9-year-old. All right, so when you read that, you're like, this is the whitest, dumbest shit ever. But as the story goes on and you start learning more, and again, you don't learn this until I would say years later and issues later in other books. Like, I think at this point you learn in Power Man and Iron Fist, when you finally learn that his father had been there before. You know?
Right. His father's from there.
His father's from, like, I'm like I read that, I was like, wait, mind blown. I didn't know that. I was like, wait a minute. And then it makes sense. His father was trying to come back and take his son there.
But the entrance is only available once every 10 years.
Right. So, and again, that explains why Danny was so young and why he's taking the kids there. Because again, when you first read this, you're like,
it seems crazy as shit.
Yeah, it seems crazy and dumb. But again, by leaving that stuff there, and then they eventually change it even more and address it even more with the Immortal Iron Fist. But like that clears that up, because I'm just like, you know, and I don't know how they're doing it on the show. I don't know if there's just a plane crash or something like that, but him actually hiking, like Wendell hiking with his wife and his son, and it also makes sense as why Heather acts the way she does, where she decides to go and they all decide to go with him to do this. Like, it all makes sense then, because before I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is dumb as shit. This doesn't make any fucking sense at all. Right. They are betrayed by his business partner, Harold Meacham. And Meacham tells them basically, oh, well, I love you, Heather. I'll take you and Daniel Beck, and we'll be like, that's never going to work. Like, you literally just killed her husband. Did you really think that she was going to? So no, dude, that, like, I don't know how many movies I've seen, but that never works. It never works out for you, dude.
It has to work for someone sometime, right? Because they all try it.
Well, it's like that. It's like that thing where, like, you have guys that street harass women by, like, yelling at them at the car, like, "Hey, girl, you look good enough to eat." Like, that had to have worked on somebody, right? Because why would you do it? So I guess you know, there's somebody that, like, he read a story sometime about, well, yeah, I just dropped her husband off of a cliff of in the Himalayas, and we've been married for 25 years now. You know, so
happy as could be.
Happy as could be. So, yeah, and then comes, like, and this is why, like, I got intrigued by reading some of the older stuff, because one of the more heart-wrenching and terrible scenes, they get to Heather and Daniel, after Meacham leaves them, they get to a bridge and they're trying to cross, but they've been followed by wolves, and they're trying to run across a bridge, and Danny's running across a bridge and he doesn't hear his mother's footsteps anymore. He looks behind, his mother's turned and is running and throws herself at the wolves to save her son. And
she chose death,
like Danny does eventually, right?
Yeah.
But, like, for a comic in the 70s,
yo, it happens in the first issue, right?
Yeah, like,
it happens in 15.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's like, I'm reading this going, oh.
That escalated quickly.
I was like, that was okay. We're gonna do that, and he's saved by some archers from the city, and they take him in, and the ruler of Kunlun, it's Uti, right? Is that how you say that?
Mm-hmm.
It takes him in, and he is given to Li Kung, the Thunderer, to be his apprentice, and who's going to be his mentor. The Thunderer's going to be Danny's mentor and teaches him martial arts. And they ask Danny, Uti asked Danny what he wants, and he basically said he wants revenge on the person who's killed his father.
And that's the biggest difference in Danny Rand for me, is that you talk about these other heroes who maybe at their origin they're like, I want to make things right. I want to with great power comes great responsibility. No, Danny's like, I want to kill the guy who killed my parents.
Yes. And they basically tell him, like, I cannot give you that. I cannot give you that revenge. But they teach him, and he gets he starts a friendship with Li Kung's son, Davos, that obviously turns horribly wrong.
Horribly wrong.
Goes horribly wrong. And you find out that Davos and Danny become the top two students at here. And I can't remember when they show them fight. Was that in Immortal? I guess that's probably later on in Immortal Iron Fist.
It's later on, yeah.
Yeah, but Danny proves himself to be one of the most gifted students, and his the reward for being the most gifted student.
Never be top of your class. Like, be a B student.
The reward for this is he has to then go fight a dragon. Shall allow the Undying, who guards the molten heart that's been torn from his body, and Danny must fight this dragon in hand-to-hand combat. That's when you say no.
Yeah, it's like, I'll take the B.
Right.
Give me the B. It's fine.
You ever hear that story? When people go, hey, they have the kids, and I know my sister used to do this. Would do her homework, father would help her with her homework all the time. But then she would still fail because she wouldn't turn the homework in, even though it was done. That's what you're doing here. Do all that stuff, and then I'm just like, fuck. And you later find out that's kind of what his father did, but we'll get to that later. So he's able to defeat the dragon, and that burns the dragon tattoo that's on his chest that, signals him as being the Iron Fist. And he then plunges his fist into the creature's molten heart, and that gives him the power of the Iron Fist.
Now, just to stop here, if you want to talk about, at the time, 70s tropes of Kung Fu movie, that's the most badass Kung Fu origin you ever heard in your entire life.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This is not your typical Kung Fu origin story here. So I battled the dragon. I battled the dragon, and later on, because you always see that there was that scene in the Kung Fu movie where they're plunging their hands in the sand to toughen them and deaden the nerves and things like that. Yeah, I plunged my hands into the molten heart of a dragon that I slayed with my bare hands.
Those are truly hands of stone.
Yeah, you win. You win. You win the argument. You win, dude. You got it. I can't compete with that shit. So you got it.
Then Danny's given a choice.
Yes. Given a choice.
He can feast from the tree of immortality.
Yes.
And so this is what's supposed to happen.
Right.
The person who is bestowed upon the power of the Iron Fist feasts on the tree and is seated alongside the immortal weapons, defending the realm. Danny said, "I want vengeance," and peaced out.
Right. Got what I came for, guys.
I told you I wanted vengeance on the man who betrayed my family.
Yes.
And he leaves.
Yes. Goes back because it's been 10 years. Colleen is now in the same realm as Earth, and Danny leaves and goes off to find Meacham, who killed his father. And that is basically the Marvel premiere issues from I want to say 15 through when I just saw it
25 or 24.
20. I think Meacham dies before then though. I can't remember. I was just rereading it before we got on here. Let me see if I can find what issue that was. But yeah, that's basically the first. That's the first Premiere 18. Yeah. So that's the first 3 issues. You get that, and he finally comes upon Meacham and finds that life has not treated him well
at all.
Yeah. He finds that let's see, we can find this. He comes across Meacham. Meacham is basically an old man in a wheelchair, and he has no legs. Your stunned, Iron Fist, I should say, Danny Rand. No matter your shock is well-founded. For I am not quite the man you remember, am I? Nor in the body, nor in spirit. 10 years of waiting for you to come and kill me have played utter hell with my mind. How did you know I was come? And that's when he goes and tells him the story that basically after Meacham left them, he got trapped in the avalanche.
Yep.
And that's he ended up getting saved in a small village by an old villager and his daughter, and but they had to cut off his legs in order to save his life. And while he's in this village, that's when he starts hearing about. He hears that Danny lived. That Danny was taken in by the Immortals and was being trained. And that's when he goes, "Oh, that kid is going to grow up to kill me." Which again, this is again different from any type of kung fu thing I've heard before, where you've heard this before. Oh well, you wrong a kid by killing his parents, like the thing that happens in Kill Bill, right? Where Beatrice kills she kills what's her name? Vivica Fox's character, right?
Vivica Fox, yeah.
And the little girl's there. She's like, yeah, if you want to later on, you still feel some kind of way about it, you can come find me, and you can kill me then, right? That's basically what happens here, except Meacham says, yeah, I got to peace out. This kid's gonna grow up. He's gonna learn. And he was like, he would hear stories about how well Danny was doing, and he was like, yo, he's being fueled by vengeance. He's gonna come back and kill me. So, this is he's telling the story to Danny in Marvel Premiere 18. In 15, 16, and 17, Danny's coming to New York. He's going he's trying to break in and find Meacham. And again, the way the story is told is done really well, because I'm trying to figure out, how does Meacham have all this stuff? Why is he all prepared for Danny? He doesn't know Danny's alive. What the fuck's going on? So the way the story is told is, oh no, Meacham does know. He knows all about Danny. He knows all about the Iron Fist. He knows all about what happened, and that's why he had he had a fake office that opened the door. You open the door, you almost fall outside. He had lasers. He had all this stuff going on, and I'm like, who the fuck is he prepared for? He can't be prepared for Danny. He doesn't know Danny's coming for him. But he knew, and he was like, I was waiting. I know that the world's only align every 10 years, and so I was waiting for you to come and take your revenge. And so I'm like, okay, again. This is how I got caught up reading the older stuff, because that was pretty well thought out and well done.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting them to. I wasn't expecting these issues to connect like they did, and
it's very mature storytelling for the 70s.
Very, very mature. Like we've read some older stuff like that is just terrible.
You cringe through it.
You cringe through it. And again, hey, look, some of the dialogue is bad. Some of the some of the stuff is there, but compared to what's going on, it's not. Throughout this time, also there's this ninja that's coming around that's helping Danny get to Meacham. He doesn't know who this ninja is. He's doing all this stuff, and when Danny finally comes across Meacham and he wants to kill him, he sees this outside. He refuses to do it. Refuses to kill him because he's like, I mean, why? Like, I'm not gonna let this consume me like it's consumed you. And Danny walks away, but the mysterious ninja literally plunges his sword through Meacham's chest and kills him. And then his daughter Joy comes in on Iron Fist finding Meacham and blames Iron Fist for again. It's a very mature storytelling, because again, it's something that you're like, that makes sense. And she goes, so you're like, yo, my father was always afraid of you, and you're the man that drove him crazy. You're the man that he was waiting for. And so, yeah, it is. I think the next issue, Marvel Premiere 19, is when he meets Colleen.
Mm-hmm.
He actually meets Colleen and maybe Misty in that issue. I'm not sure if he meets her in that issue, but soon after he meets Misty Knight as well. So we have Colleen. I think Colleen plays would you say Colleen plays I think Colleen plays a larger role in Iron Fist books, in Iron Fist, than Misty does at the beginning, and Misty plays a larger role in Luke Cage with Luke.
Yeah.
Obviously that changed a little bit on, and honestly, we had some stuff with Misty. Colleen's all over the place, but she's not as high profile as Misty is.
She's a supporting character.
She really is a supporting character in this, more so than Misty. Like Misty, I think she's a supporting character too, but she's just you get way more of her. But in these early issues, you get things with Colleen, and I think that there's some really interesting stuff here with her. Let's see. So once you get through the first 25 issues, issue 20, oh, not 25, first 25 is from 15 to 25. When the Marvel premiere 25, it ends with Colleen being kidnapped, and they're basically telling you, join us for Iron Fist #1, and it's gonna be Iron Fist versus Iron Man in that, because why the fuck not, right? And basically you get Iron. It's basically the first 7 issues are basically the search for Colleen. And so because her father was a professor that was helping Danny. I think it was dealing with. I can't remember exactly what it was. I read.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Her father was dealing. Her father had come across a book that I think can show you how to. Let's see. It was a cult of the Carrie Kai. That's what it was. And her father had come across a book that could help that could destroy Kunlun. So she was helping him with that. In issue 5, though, of Iron Fist, they marketed it as she's been I think it's Angar the Screamer. I think that's who it is.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and she's basically been mind stormed, if you will. And she attacks Iron Fist. Like, so Danny does a thing with this chi that allows her to they basically share their chi or something like that, and he's able to kind of snap her out of it. From that point on though, it's like that's when Colleen literally becomes a superhero.
Right.
Because she's now able to do something like they even say it at the end of that book that her and Danny now share a special bond. And I guess maybe they were trying to early on. Then they were trying to maybe hook up Misty Knight and Luke and Colleen and Danny. It didn't turn out that way. But what I really love about that issue 5 though with Colleen though is she literally the way she kills Angar. Like, I don't know if did you see that one?
No, it's not coming back to me right now.
Hold on. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Okay. Sorry. I had a little. No. Man, no. Let me see if I can find that, because it was done. She literally just like whoops out her sword and literally slits his throat, and she does it so fast that he doesn't know it happened. It's really a badass moment, and you're like, oh yeah, she's really really good with this sword of hers.
Oh, Colleen's not to be fucked with.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. I didn't take a screenshot of it. Let me see, because basically okay, because before Danny goes to find Colleen, Misty, and again, what I love about this is a lot of stuff that happens with Misty and Colleen, they don't tell you from, like, they have a whole history and background between the two of them, but it's never really out in the page. It's never pre-written. It's just stuff that knows. So Colleen gives. Misty gives Danny this package, and you can tell it's a sword. She's like, just give it to Colleen. Trust me, when you see her, you give it to her, she'll know what to do with it, right? So, and literally, she gets a sword, and it's like it awakens her, and she literally, from that moment on, turns into a badass. And it is. Let me see if I can get this. Actually, it might not be 5. It might be 6. Yeah, I think it's 6. Yeah, I was saying it was issue 5, but it's 6. Let's see. Yeah. So Mitchie says, Danny, I don't mean to be true, but this is for Colleen. It's important that she gets it. You'll understand when you give it to her. And you can tell it's definitely a sword, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. So let me see what he does. Yeah, he takes the power of the Iron Fist and focuses it like he never can focus before. He takes the force of his will, my chi, my soul, and uses to bridge the gap from my mind into yours. And that's what he does to kind of snap Colleen out of it. Yeah. So 6 ends with Colleen kind of being snapped out of it after fighting Iron Fist, And then she kind of gets up, and that's when she's just like, she turns into this like literally this badass. So she's saying there. So it's like, let's see, what did she say? Okay, hero, here's your chance to save the world. Master Khan's taking a powder, leaving Angar and his private goon squad to snuff us. I'll handle them. You take out Khan. Are you crazy? You can't handle. Of all people in the world, Iron Fist, you should know what I can and cannot handle. Right now, right down to my most private thought and secret or dream or feeling. You know it all. Colleen, I didn't want to. That doesn't matter now. Angar matters. Khan matters. Surviving matters. You're half the warrior you're supposed to be. You know that for a fact, and you know what you have to do. And that's when she literally goes out and she literally whoops these motherfuckers' asses. She doesn't take the sword out of the scabbard, yo. She doesn't.
She didn't have to.
She didn't have to.
She didn't have to.
But then Angar's here, right? He's the only one left. She didn't take. She took out the goons. An impressive display, Chicky. I knew you were good, but this, on the other hand, I didn't figure on you breaking my conditioning either. You're full of surprises, little lady, but you're still no match for me because I don't have to fight with my hands. I can use my mind and my scream. And you're, I think you saw him with her sword. I just kind of mess up here. Isn't worth beans against that. So you have this really cool panel where she's just standing there, right? And he's talking, and you see her whip the sword out. He's like, give it a second, Colleen. Sure, you're standing there. I'll blow your mind away, like you did my father's. Which, by the way, he also messed up her father's mind, which plays to a really good moment later on, I think, in Power Man and Iron Fist. He was a kind, gentle, decent, gentle soul, Angar, and your mind storm turned him into a vegetable. Those are breaks, hun. And in a second or two, you'll know just how it feels. She goes, you don't have a second. That's when she whips her sword out. Nice try, baby, but you missed. I didn't feel a thing. No, most people never do at first. I didn't miss Angar. Like, that's when you realize, like, what I love about this is, up until this moment, like, Colleen's never been this much of a badass, right?
Never.
Never been this much of a badass. But this moment here, he literally slits a man's throat in a second. And it's so fucking awesome. And, yeah, so, that is, I think that goes through the first 7 issues of the solo series for, Iron Fist.
I think it's crazy because we just covered a lot.
Right. That's a lot in that first 7. So I highly recommend people go and check those. You can read those. I think those are, you can just stop there, and that gives you an introduction to Colleen. That gives you the first backstory of Danny Rand. Throw it all in there. That's really good. If you want to, I think Iron Fist 14 is the first appearance of Sabretooth. Starts off as a villain for Iron Fist, not Wolverine. We can talk more about that later when we do the Wolverine enemies character corner. But yeah, so, was he hired by Joy at that point? Because Joy at this point is still trying to kill him because she thinks he killed her father. So you still have that going on there because
it's one of the things that's always in the background of every story we're telling for a while here is that it's going to be just a whole lot of Joy coming after him.
Yeah. So. We get Iron Fist. So, we kind of covered this before when we did the Luke Cage, we get the Luke Cage. And so to go back to Colleen real quick, Iron Fist 5 is when she remembers her grandfather's teaching. That's when all of a sudden she remembers that he taught her how to, use this 1,000-year-old sword, and that she's literally a badass with it. She's a samurai. All right, not a ninja. She's a samurai. All right. Important distinction to remember. And we talk about this later on. We get the Power Man and Iron Fist run. That ends the with because that's when Luke and before that in the Luke Cage run is when Luke and Iron Fist meet for the first time. That's when he's been charged with going and capturing, I think, either Colleen or Misty. I can't remember which one he's supposed to be capturing. And they end up fighting. He ends up fighting Iron Fist, and they would. Heroes always do when they first fight. They come together and realize, oh no, we're better to be friends, and let's do this. So,
it's a great trope.
Yeah. And Power Man and Iron Fist 50 through 54. That's basically the beginning of Heroes for Hire again. Beginning of Heroes for Hire. You get Iron Fist and Power Man working together. Iron Fist is Danny has helped. I think he got Jerry Hogarth to help Luke clear his name, and also to officially form Heroes for Hire, like as a business.
Yep. And he buries the hatchet with joy and becomes a billionaire.
Yes. Because she, once again, tried to kill him.
She finally accepts that he didn't kill her father, didn't mean to, and unlocked his inheritance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you go through, so again, Danny becomes rich, and that becomes a sticking point between, and that's why I like, the whole dynamic between Danny and Luke is Luke came up poor, Danny's literally from privilege. And although he did have this moment where, again, he spent, 20 years learning to become a living weapon, but at the same time, you still came back to really privilege. So there's always a sticking point there. Let's see. Power Man and Iron Fist 70 I had in there. That's when Colleen goes back and remember her training. And I think that's also the issue where, because remember back in the Iron Fist solo run, Angar has he mindstormed her father. So you get this moments where her father doesn't remember her.
Right.
And it's actually a really fucked up thing. She goes in to see her father, and her father just never remembers her. And I want to say 70 is the one where he sees her fighting, and then he all of a sudden remembers that that's his daughter Colleen. And so you get this really great moment where they hug. He basically calls out her name and remembers her, and they hug at the end of the issue. And I thought that was a really it's one of the things that's the small character moments in these older issues. Why I got caught reading them. I don't expect to get these emotional feelings from older issues like this, but I did with this. I mean, I think it were done really, really well. So, and I think that should get more background on Colleen's training then as well. They talk a little bit more about it. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, because she goes back and she remembers it all. She's going through she's remembering it all. She remembers it happened, and she literally shows up to talk to her dad, and he just doesn't remember. He would just say things like, "No, I have no daughter," and stuff like that, and it's literally just like driving her crazy. So she gets kidnapped, and Luke and Iron Fist help her out, and that's when he sees her and he calls her name out, and again you get this moment between daughter and father that is just heartwarming. So I'm gonna read this on air because it had nothing to do with what we're doing right now. If you listen to this Andy check, you remember I told Justin that he hadn't seen Get Out yet, and we had made a mention. We talked about the joke about Ben Carson and Dick Cheney. I now have 2 text messages from Justin. One at midnight last night, another one at 11:51 a.m. today. Nigga, I'm serious. Where is Dick Cheney? If you've seen Get Out, you know where it's coming from. I'm sorry to throw that out there. It has nothing to do with this character corner here. But because I told him on the show, I was like, when you finally see Get Out, you're really going to get that joke. Because he didn't get the joke. Because he thought it was funny, but he didn't get the joke. And I'm like, no. Once you see Get Out, you're really going to get the joke. And I told him, you're going to text me or you're going to tweet me. And literally, I got my second text from him already about, no, seriously, where's Dick Cheney? I had to throw it out there, so sorry.
That's amazing.
Power Man and Iron Fist number 75. This is when you get the truth about Wendell Rand and Lee Kung. Actually, no, it's not Lee. Yudi. This is where you find out that Wendell had been to the city before.
Right.
And there's even mentioned that potentially that UT is his I think he says his brother. Yeah, because his when Wendell got to Colleen there, he was adopted, grew up there, and so the UT that is a title. He was his brother, and you get some more information. Obviously, from the falling out over a girl, you see that he left the city. And was kind of banished. There's a lot of stuff that plays into some of the history of Kunlun that stands out too. They don't allow women to learn kung fu because they're sexist as fuck.
Yes.
But that plays into a part later on that, again, there's a lot of stuff that they clean up in Immortal Iron Fist later on, years later. But it's an important piece.
We've talked about this. We mentioned earlier with the Falcon and the Luke Cage stuff. Marvel's at its best not when it ignores its history, but when they say, well, we can tell stories in those gaps. There's a lot of gaps here. We can tell better stories in there.
Right.
Like, even with Winter Soldier, you never saw Bucky die.
Mm-hmm.
And Fraction was like, well, we never saw a body.
Right.
And he was able to build a story that would turn into 2 blockbuster movies for Marvel with it, because as opposed to running from their past of having a child in wartime being a soldier alongside Captain America with no training or enhancements, which seems batshit crazy, they were able to make him like the Allies' super advanced scout spy, and eventually turn him into the Winter Soldier, and eventually make billions upon billions of dollars by making that new movie.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, even as I'm reading, it's so funny because reading Living Weapon, they go back to the original.
Mm-hmm.
They go back to his origins of Kunlun. And because they've never said, like, oh, they've just said, look, we're going to embrace the craziness, the stupidity of the old stories. But guess what? They're really good stories to mine out of that.
Right. So you get this where you find out that Wendell at one point had married a woman that I think the UT at this point is Nguyen. I can't remember what his name was.
Yeah, his brother who
right.
drove Wendell out.
Yeah, and they were in love with the same woman. The woman chose Wendell. They had a child. So Danny ends up finding out that he has a half sister who you find out, I believe it's in the original, it's in either in Marvel Premiere or it's in Iron Fist. I can't remember which one. There's a hooded woman who ends up saving him with her brother or with not a brother, as another person. They save him and they never tell you what's going on here. And then Danny, she later on orders out that she's his sister, and he's like, what? You later find out, yeah, that's his half sister.
2 is when she first appears.
There you go. That's his half sister Miranda, and he doesn't find out really that that's his sister 100% until Pyro Man and Iron Fist 75. Like, they did a really good. Like, I'm not even sure how they did this. You know, because it doesn't, like, when you read this, some of the stuff doesn't make sense. Like, they introduced this woman in Iron Fist #2, and you're just like, where did this come from? And again, the same thing comes up. It's like, well, you're not allowed to know kung fu. You're not allowed to learn to use any of these techniques. What are you doing here? Yeah, you find out that she was secretly trained, and this is actually Danny's half sister. Later on becomes, what did she come? Death Spiral? I can't remember what she. Death Sting. There you go. But yeah, she suffers a horrible fate. Originally.
Oh yeah.
And Danny doesn't know that that's his sister. So it's like there's a lot of these interesting things that happen in this Power Man and Iron Fist run like that. We get to the end of the run. It's 118 to 125. This is Danny contracts cancer. He's trying to use it. Kunlun is destroyed by the Dragon King's brother, I believe.
Yeah.
And he gets. You don't know this at the time, but he gets replaced. He gets replaced, and he's replaced with an imposter who later ends up dying trying to save. Oh, what was it? Captain Hero? Was that the name of the
Captain Hero? Yeah.
Captain Hero. It was dying, and Luke Cage is trained for it. You know, and when I say frame for it, I like how it is. It's literally one of those. Well, you're strong, so it had to be you, and you had an argument with him, and I almost want to go, and you're black. That's what it really feels like. It's such a profiling, railroading job. A couple of the officers resign off of it because they see the railroading coming, and it's bullshit. And that's how Power Man and Iron Fist ends, with Danny apparently dead and Luke Cage on the run for his murder. What a way to end the series.
Well, it kind of reset the characters.
Yeah.
Danny's presumed dead, and Luke's on the run from the cops.
Yep. Right. It's literally back to the beginning for both of them. Right.
Yeah.
Also, during this time, I want to say one of a persistent enemy during this time, and this happened during the Power Man and Iron Fist 75 when Danny learns the truth about his father in the city. Master Khan, sorcerer, repeated thorn in Danny's side. I bring him up now just because you find out that he's at this time he's pretending to be a police officer, Tyrone King, and he's dating Misty Knight. Look, man, like I can't remember the exact issue. I'll find it, make sure I put it in the show notes when Misty and Danny started their relationship officially. But at this point, they've broken up, and Misty's now seeing this Tyrone King, right? Who is literally one of Danny's worst enemies he doesn't know. Can you, you got to catch a fade off of this, right? Like, you
got to die.
You got to die, right? This is worse than anything. This might be one of the worst things I've ever seen an enemy do. Like, and I've seen the horrible things that happen to Daredevil, right? But you pretend to be a black dude who my girlfriend loves, and you're fucking my girlfriend, yo.
He picked the black Tyrone King, too.
Tyrone fucking King. Like, out of all the names, who looks like Billy D. Williams, by the way. Am I wrong?
You're not, but it's funny.
Am I wrong? Like, he even had the Lando cape on and shit, yo. Like, that was motherfucking Billy D. Like, out of all, like, look, man. I was talking about this with Justin yesterday. Danny looks like, from the neck up, Danny looks like just a regular white dude. All right. Granted, like he's built like an athlete and built like, a martial artist. So there, but from the neck up, he's just plain bred white boy, right? You ain't standing a chance against Billy D. Williams, dog. You ain't standing a chance against Billy D. Williams. Ain't enough Colt 45 in the world. Ain't happening, bro. So just want to throw that out there, man. That was crazy. Yeah, so that ends Power Man and Iron Fist. That ends Heroes for Hire there. I know there's a whole stuff that goes on with Namor helping to free because Danny's real body's back in Kunlun. He's being in stasis. Actually, not in Kunlun. He's been the enemies of Kunlun. I can't remember what they were called. They're like these little stick tree creatures. Fuck.
Black Free. I can't even pronounce it.
Yeah, I can't. That's the thing. I can't. I know what it looks like. I can't pronounce the name, so I'm not going to try.
I can point it out in the lineup. That's the
right. I can point it out in the lineup, and that's all that really matters. There, yeah. No, sir, that one right there, the one that looks like a giant fucking tree.
The one I'm trying to...
That's the thing. That thing over there. Well, sir, we need you to say the name. I can't. It's that over there. It looks like Swamp Thing, but not like that. So. It gets involved with Namor. It brings him back and all this. Fuck all that stuff. So I don't know. I there's a lot of stuff there I just didn't read. I know you had in the list.
That's I didn't read either.
Yeah, you put in the Heroes for Hire 1 through 18 that was there. You said I'm literally reading the notes that Dpalm sent me. Not reading that it takes place after Onslaught. Did not like it. I didn't, because there's a bunch of Heroes for Hire stuff in there, so I didn't, and I forgot what year Onslaught was. So I'm going through and I looked through the covers of each of the Heroes for Hire stuff. I got to the Heroes for Hire stuff that you were talking about. Looked at the covers like, that's the one he's talking about. Okay, no. Like, I could tell. I could tell from the covers. I was like, oh no, Onslaught years? That's what it looks like. Yeah, I'm definitely not reading that.
What happened was, actually did Onslaught, like, the large, so I read it when it happened. That's why I can, like, talk about it a little bit. the idea was, and it just, we're going to expand the Heroes for Hire, which to me was more money grubby than Luke or Danny had ever been. So even the premise I didn't like. Mm-hmm. But the idea was a corporation owned by Namor would come through and protect the world for a price. And Jim Hammond was helping. They brought back the original Human Torch. Iron Fist was basically like the commander in the field. And like even in the story like that, it was the trope of we're gonna get paid for this one, and then for some reason they didn't get paid. Like they never seem to get paid for their jobs. And I'm like, they either look like if the Avengers hit you up with an invoice but never collected, and they weren't actually the Avengers, that's what it felt like. It's just like, I didn't like it. I'm glad we didn't read it. Let's move on.
Yeah. So I think, was there anything before we really get to Civil War? There's Civil War era.
There's the I actually stumbled onto Wolverine and Iron Fist.
Oh no!
Okay,
yeah. I wasn't sure if that was. I wasn't sure if that was before or after Civil War.
It is. It's before Civil War.
Yeah, I started reading it. I didn't get to finish it, but yeah. How was it?
It's good. It's better than I remember it being.
Okay.
But it I don't know. It was interesting. It was pretty good. I didn't love it. I didn't put it on the list, did I? So.
Yeah, no, but I found it. It was actually in my library. I just didn't get around to reading it. So, what was the story with that one?
It's a hand is trying to steal the power of the Iron Fist from because it's the 10-year Kunlun thing. Mm-hmm. Or I think that maybe there was a spell drawing Kunlun to Earth. Either way, there was an open portal, as there always conveniently seem to be, and a member of the hand was trying to steal the power of the Iron Fist. That gets Wolverine involved. They're in Tokyo, trying to merge Kunlun and Tokyo. And this is actually Danny, for a period, loses the Iron Fist. Mm. And he gets to give up this title of the Iron Fist in this period. He gets it back, I think, in Black Panther. I think. That may not be true. Hold on, let me see. Yes.
I think so.
He gets it back in Black Panther because he does a run in the Black. He does a couple guest appearances in Black Panther, Volume 3, 38 through 40. They use that to bring back the Iron Fist powers, and then we get to Civil War and New Avengers. Mm-hmm. Which, for the first time, Danny Rand's an Avenger.
Yep.
It matters less than it used to, but at the time it mattered a lot. Mm-hmm. New Avengers was a way that they were bringing their highest profile characters into Avengers, trying to treat the Avengers franchise like the JLA for DC. Spider-Man joined, Wolverine joined, Luke Cage joined, eventually Daredevil, and Iron Fist joined. And it was a great time to be an Iron Fist figure because it felt like Danny Rand was everywhere, in so much that Daredevil gets outed as Matt Murdock.
I was about to bring that up, yeah. Because we brought this up during the Daredevil character corner, where Danny is hired to basically pose as Iron Fist is hired to pose as Daredevil.
He does it from 82 through 86 in Daredevil's run, and for me, it's just a stirring, like, oh yeah, he's way better at this than Matt is.
Yeah.
Like, Matt's nice, but Danny is the immortal weapon.
Like, there's that scene where so Matt breaks out and finally gets out of prison, and he puts the Daredevil costume back on, right? And you get a Daredevil versus Daredevil, but he doesn't know it's Danny underneath the costume, right? And Danny doesn't know that it's Matt out of jail. So at one point, Danny's just like, man, fuck this, and his hand glows. And that's what you're like, oh shit, it's been Danny. Like, no, that was awesome because you didn't know up until that point. You the reader don't know either who that Daredevil is. Like, you're like,
there's another Daredevil running around.
Right, like, who the fuck is this Daredevil? And then then his hand glows. You're like, what the fuck?
David's like, oh fuck this.
Yeah. Like, all right, I'm done playing nice. Hand glows. Fuck. No,
it's a great moment. Like, reading it live, you're like, oh shit, because it's like you weren't really like I wasn't on message boards or like looking for spoilers. So reading it, I was just like, no. It was really well done. They snuck. It's Bendis sneaking in characters in his books is something he does a lot. He snuck Iron Fist in on us for like 4 months.
Right. So around the time of Civil War, this is when you got a lot of the same. Some of these books are around the same time. I think. So I think even before Civil War. So before we get to that, that's when you get that. Daughters of the Dragon, I think, is right before this. I think it is. But yeah, because in Civil War, that's when Misty and Colleen formed the Heroes for Hire again. So, Daughters of the Dragon. We talked about this during the Luke Cage and Misty Knight run. I think it's another one of those great books. Again, Colleen doesn't get a lot of spotlight in a lot of books, but this is one with her and Misty. And you literally realize in Daughters of the Dragon, if you haven't realized up to this point, because she's also a lot in those earlier Power Man and Iron Fist runs, literally being just at one point she's a goon. Like there's some earlier Power Man and Iron Fist runs. Like matter of fact, if you go back to that going all the way back to Power Man and Iron Fist, the 118 to 125, this is back when Danny gets cancer and is dying. There's an issue in 18, like she's literally beating up some feds who are trying to spy and figure out what's going on, and Luke got to hold her back because she's literally a goon, yo. Like,
yo, Colleen will fuck you up.
Yo, and nothing says that more than Daughters of the Dragon. Like, she really fucks people. Like, she is, you don't realize how nice she really is until Daughters of the Dragon. Like, she is nice with that fucking sword. Like, just not the same, man. It's just, yeah. So, Daughters of the Dragon, we won't cover there. It's 6 issues. There's also a Daughters of the Dragon Deadly Hands special that's like in black and white. More along the lines of written like the old school kung fu books. Read both of those. Both of those are on Marvel Unlimited, and we covered those on the Heroes for Hire Part 1. And I guess that gets us into Civil War, 'cause that's when the second Heroes for Hire starts. It's also around the same time as the Immortal Iron Fist Fraction run,
which is, for my money, still the best Iron Fist I've ever read.
It absolutely is. Absolutely is. How do you want to do this second? Let's do the Heroes for Hire stuff after this, after the Immortal Iron Fist stuff, because they kind of tie together. All you need to know at this point is by the time the Immortal Iron Fist comes together, they brought everybody together. They brought back Luke Cage, they brought Misty Knight, and they brought Colleen back in. But at this point, Colleen and Misty have kind of had some issues. Yeah. At this point, because of the end of the Heroes for Hire. But we'll get back to that. So the Immortal Iron Fist run from Matt Fraction and Brubaker. Like you said, I think this is if you were to jump into anything, like I said, I enjoy some of the older stuff, but I feel like this is what you should read. If you need to just jump into something for Iron Fist, I think this will be it, because it basically kind of retells you some of the origin story, gives you some more information. Like, I actually think I read this first before I read anything else, and I didn't feel lost.
Right.
So, they do a couple things in here. First, and I guess this makes sense. You can say they introduce it because they do, but it makes sense. The Iron Fist is a mantle that's passed along. There have been 66 Iron Fists throughout history, and what is really cool about this book is you'll get like flashbacks to some of these other Iron Fists, and even some of the issues. I think issue 7 focuses on one of the Iron Fists.
It feels like the breaks between arcs, you get another Iron Fist.
Right. And you get some information on them there. It also introduced, what was Randall's last name? It was Randall something. Oh, God.
Orson Randall.
They introduced you to Orson Randall, who was the Iron Fist before Danny. And there's a lot of stuff going on with him because he just disappeared. And when you first meet him, he's a drug addict.
Yeah.
And you're like, he's a druggie. What happened to him? What falls off? And the way they reveal why he's a drug addict and what's going on with him and what, like, I think it was just really, really, really well done. And adds to the mythos of Iron Fist. You know, they reveal the book of the Iron Fist that contains all the kung fu secrets of the previous Iron Fist. There's a tournament at one point where you find out that Kunlun is only one of, I think, 7 sacred cities,
and there's a door to the 8th.
Oh yeah, and there's an 8th, but they don't know about the 8th until
right.
later on. But yeah, there's 7 cities, and every 88 years, is that it? They have a tournament to determine which city will basically be get the realm of Earth every 10 years. And yeah, it's a really well done interesting story that really plays on some of the stuff you've learned from previous and it plays with everything that Danny knows. Like Danny realizes he doesn't know everything.
Yeah.
And there's even at one point, because you got to remember, Danny didn't stay in the city, so he left. So he didn't really technically fulfill his duties as Iron Fist. So he left before he learned everything. So
you also learned that a lot of the previous Iron Fists have left too.
Yeah,
including Orson.
Yeah, and Orson left because he ended up killing another of the immortal weapons when he didn't want to fight in the tournament. And his old enemy Davos comes back, and it becomes
Steel Phoenix.
Steel Phoenix. He was fighting for the Crane Mother, who was one of the other seven cities. And there's just a lot there, and it seems like it can be very confusing at first.
Yeah, it feels like a lot, but it's done kind of naturally. The world kind of builds on its own. So where we say things like the 7 capital cities of heaven, and it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. And this is where it also comes back to the whole thing about them not training women.
Mm-hmm.
That comes back. that comes back later on. I think there's also a UT determined to be a traitor. Nuon turned out to be a traitor, and Lee Kung replaces him. And Orson Randall had a daughter. Who, again, they treated women so terribly in this city. And the city's supposed to be paradise. Women are treated so horribly. Like, she literally became a servant girl. It wasn't allowed to speak and everything like that. She was leading. What did they call them? They had a name for them. Were they Daughters of the Thunder? It wasn't that.
Let me see.
Something they called them. Oh, man. But they come back and they... you get is when you get Danny punching that train we talked about.
Yeah.
It's such a great moment because he got this monologue and he's like, I was the immortal Iron, and he stops halfway through it because he realizes he lives. Oh, man. Right then. Yeah, it's like, oh well, I don't know why I'm surprised about this, you know. But it's really well done. Hydra's involved. I mean, there's a lot going on here. Danny tries to start giving away his billions of dollars to charities and things like that. He's also funding the Luke Cage's New Avengers. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot they cram into these. I guess Fraction's run ends at 22, I think.
Right.
But the whole entire series goes to 28 to finish the story. But it's like you said, I think this is the definitive Iron Fist run that gets you everything you need.
Everything you want out of Iron Fist happens in those 28 issues.
Yeah. Like from just everything, even down to, and the reason why Danny wants to give away his money is he finds out that UT was using basically the foundation of the Rand fortune was basically UT's corruption and subjugation of all these people and being a tyrant. So he wants to give away this blood money and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that's where we end with that. Would you anything else you want to add to Immortal Iron Fist?
No, I want to talk about the living weapon really quickly.
Okay, let's do that.
Or do you want to do the Heroes for Hire for stuff?
Well, let's do that then, and we'll come back to Heroes for Hire. The last thing that ends up with this is Misty does say she's pregnant. They find out they don't have a child. Like it's a false pregnancy. So, but she does it. And I thought that was weird because there were during the Immortal Iron Fist, there were these visions of Misty with a child in Kunlun that seemed to be Danny's child. So, but yeah, they don't go anywhere with that. So, all right, living weapon.
A living weapon. If Immortal Iron Fist is the perfect Iron Fist, living weapon for me is the next step. The first arc is tied directly to his origin, and it. I don't want to spoil anything because it's a book that's still going on right now, but I would invite anyone who's enjoyed this character corner, who's enjoying hearing about the character and learning more about him, to give this a shot because it ties. It's a parallel story, kind of like the origin, where it's a retelling of the origin, but also telling of why Danny's being drawn back to Kunlun, and it touches on everything we've talked about. There's appearances from the Prince of Orphans, appearances from the Thunderer, appearances from it's and everything we've read and everything we talked about. Different times that Kunlun fell under siege, maybe Kunlun burned, but the people, the immortals who lived there, still lived. This is the fall of Kunlun.
Mm.
And it's really well done, and it's tied directly to Danny's past, and it feels natural. It feels the story they're telling is simultaneous between the present and the past, but it all feels connected. And I think us timing up this character corner with me having put off reading this book works nicely because now I'm in on the Living Weapon. 100%.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and read it myself because I saw it there and I was like, yeah, I've heard good things about it, and so.
And anytime you get a writer artist, I'm always intrigued because that's a lot of work to put.
Right.
Like, that's a passion project. You've got to care to draw and write this shit.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
You get to see the Iron Fist shatter.
Yeah, I'm gonna check this out. So check that out, and then also David Walker's Power Man and Iron Fist is also a really great reading book. I like it because Danny wants to get back the this is now Luke Cage with a kid and a wife, and Danny's kind of like, come on, let's get back to Heroes for Hire, and Luke just
last Danny.
It's like, I don't want to do this, Danny. We're not doing this. And they do it. They end up doing it. So, yeah, but no, go and read that. That's also a really great book. I know they had a really great tie-in to Civil War II as well. So, but yeah, pick up those. David Walker's writing that one. Really, really great. And also Living Weapon. So from there. So, anything else with Luke before we finish up the Colleen stuff real quick?
Oh, let's do that. Let's call in.
All right. So we're going to go back now to this Heroes for Hire run. I think that's the 2006. It starts with them in Civil War. Colleen and remember, Danny decides to basically side with Cap. I think it's Iron Man. Was it Iron Man and Spider-Man or somebody else basically asked Colleen and Misty to start Heroes for Hire. It, like, again, it's a really great book. And I really enjoy it. What I enjoyed about this book is it's a great follow up to Daughters of the Dragon, the first 6 issues of that, the 6 issues of Daughters of the Dragon. But then the way that this Heroes for Hire run ends is gut wrenching. Like, it is, it hits you. You know?
How's it end?
Huh? You said what now?
How's it end?
Oh, well, this is with, I think we covered this a little bit when we did the Misty Knight one. This is where they're hired by S.H.I.E.L.D. to capture Moon Boy.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so they're hired by the capture Moon Boy, and this is where, you meet Humbug. Like, a lot of these characters you meet in Daughters of the Dragon, like, and Daughters of the Dragon is so almost, I don't want to say it's happy because that's where Misty gets her arm cut off, or Ricadonna and stuff like that. But it's more lighthearted than what ends up happening in Heroes for Hire. So you meet Humbug, you get all these characters, and what ends up happening is during the tie-in for World War Hulk, they get captured by I think is it the Brood Queen? Yeah, it's either the Brood Queen or these bugs, and they end up capturing. They take. It's Colleen and somebody else. I can't remember what the other woman is that they take. And Misty makes a deal with Paladin. He's basically like, if you help us get back there and save him, I'll give you Moon Boy. You know? Because Misty's going to do everything she can to get her friend back. Even though they realized that they weren't going to do this because they were like, hey, S.H.I.E.L.D. takes Moon Boy. They're going to rip him apart. They're going to study him. We don't want that. We shouldn't do that. But Misty's going to do whatever she can to get her friend back. I think at one point, Colleen and them are attacked by, or they're being tortured by these nerve larvae. So what makes minutes seem like hours and hours seem like years, when Misty and them come and save Colleen, she's basically like, how many years have I been here? Like, she is broken. They've only been there for a couple hours. She is broken. She feels like she's been there for years. And at the end of this issue, when the heroes win the day and save the day, kind of, Humbug is killed by what was it? What's the guy's name? Not the kung fu guy. Shang-Chi. Yeah, he's in the mercifully killed by him. He's like everybody on the Heroes for Hire. The Heroes for Hire end after this because every one of them is broken after this.
Right.
Paladin is given Moon Boy, and Colleen just can't take it, and she looks at. Let me see if I can find if I have that final panel. I mean, it is just one of those gut wrenching things, and it's basically like kind of the. I want to say the end of a friendship, but it's definitely the end of the Heroes for Hire, and Colleen and Misty definitely need a break from each other afterwards. So basically, let's see. She's like, say, don't do this, Misty, don't do this. They're going to cut him up. He's not merchandise. Sweetie, stop. I don't have a choice, all right? It was the only way to get you back. I knew what I was doing, Misty. He didn't. You can't let Colleen, you're in shock. You're not making sense. You know? And, yeah, they don't do this. It's over, Colleen. It's all over. Let's just go home. Don't you understand? He's one of us, and you're going to let them run tests on him and cut him up. Please. We took him out of his home, and now we're killing him. You turned us all into monsters. Look at us. We sold stuff inside of us that made us good. We went bad, Misty. Somewhere along the line, we went bad. Don't say that, girl. As long as we're together, it's going to be okay. We're a team, you and me. We're heroes for hires. We should never have been heroes for hire, Misty. We should have just been heroes. That's how it ends. Yeah, man. It's again, you got to remember, when we first meet Misty and Colleen, they're together. Their friendship was already written. Like, this is a group of people that became friends. Like, Luke Cage and Danny became friends. Colleen and Misty were always friends. Ever since we knew them, they were friends. They were together. They looked out for each other. You know, there's that one, you know, in Iron Fist #1, Danny's breaking into Stark International to find information on how to get Colleen. Misty's already there. She's doing the same thing. Looking for a friend, looking for a business partner, looking for a friend, you know? So after we get that, there's also, do I have it written down here? It is, did I not write it down? Oh, it's the Shadowlands one. Oh, what was that called? Let me look up and see. I think it's Shadowlands Daughters of the Dragon. It might be Shadowlands Daughter of the Dragon, but I'm not sure. You find out, and this is where you find out. Colleen finds out more. This is during the whole Shadowlands thing where Daredevil literally becomes evil and becomes the head of the hand. Let's see. It is, and so this is a spin-off book where Daredevil basically goes to Colleen and says, "Hey, I got a dossier on your mother. It's Shadowland Daughters of the Shadow." And basically tells her, "Hey, your mother, you don't know anything about your mother." She's like, "No," because again, throughout this entire time, we don't know anything about Colleen's mother.
At all.
Never learned anything about her mother. Like, there's an untapped potential here with this character, never gone into. We know that she was trained by her grandfather, but that's it.
Well, he tells her. Yeah, it's similar to, we don't know where Danny was born. Did you know that?
Yeah, that's true.
We still don't know where Danny was born, if he's New York, Kunlun, or where.
True. You're absolutely right. So he tells her, your mother worked with the Hand. She was part of this, basically, this deadly female assassin group called the Nail, you know, who went out there and correct wrongs. And he entices her, like, listen, if you take your birthright and lead the new version of the Nail, I'll give you more information on your mother and dossier on your mother, and you'll be able to help, you know, right the wrongs. Because to set this up, she was trying to free these women that were being slaves in this massage parlor, but the police wouldn't let her. The police protected them. And Daredevil was like, listen, you can run this group and you can do whatever you want to do. You can save them. You can stop them. So Colleen agrees. She agrees to do it. And the problem goes bad with her roommate gets caught up in this because her roommate is working for, she doesn't know at the time, a corrupt politician.
Yeah.
And so these women turn on Colleen, which he obviously tries to say. It's only 3 issues are really nice. But what I liked about it is this came out in 2010. and I think it ends with Colleen, her friend, and there's one of the girls. I can't remember what the name of who the girl was. Let me see. Who the third? Let me see. It was Cherry Blossom. So it ends up on them on a flight. They're going to rescue somebody else, and she's going to go to Japan to try to find out more about her mom. Nothing ever happens after that. Like, they never go into more information on Colleen's mom. I really feel like there's a lot of untapped potential with that character, and that maybe I don't think it's enough to have an ongoing series, but I think you can do another little short. Like, I think when it comes to characters like Misty Knight and Colleen, they're really good for these short, like 6-issue, maybe 12-issue, short run miniseries. Like, I would love to see a 6-issue run of Colleen finding out the truth about her mom. Like, I think you can do a really well done job there with that. And I was actually shocked when I was reading all this stuff that they never went anywhere with it. You know, that was 7 years ago. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. So I thought that was really well done. Like I said, it ends with her rejecting. She basically ends up fighting. I can't remember what the character's name. I think it's Black Lotus. She ends up fighting her. She makes. Oh no, we get to fight for the leadership because that's how we work. That's how the hand works. She just makes shit up. but then she ends up whooping her ass. Like, not even close. So because Colleen's still a badass. So
yeah, she is.
And yeah, I think that about covers it, right? I think it covers everything. Because I mean, again, you can find little things from Colleen. I think she was in her and Misty Knight were in Age of Apocalypse. She was infected by the Brood, I believe. So, yeah. So, you got anything else, man? You want to add on this one?
No, man. I'm thank you for making us read these because I really enjoyed The Living Weapon, and I'm on board for it. And I hope people can look past the admittedly problematic, I hate using that word, but it is, origins, and then look to see that there's more to the story than just white guy learns kung fu.
You know what? I think that, and I think this is where I think people will enjoy the books more than they do the show. I think they will. I think is the problematic nature in the show. I'm not sure they can really get the nuances that they try to do in the book, and that doesn't mean that the book is perfect or anything like that. But I think that Marvel's done the best that they can without completely trying to erase a character from their history, which I think is almost impossible for them to do. But I think that they've tried a lot to clean it up and make it interesting, especially putting it around the supporting characters that are around him. But yeah, I think the books are way more digestible than actually seeing 13 episodes of this on TV. And I'm saying to somebody I'm still going to watch it next Friday. I'm going to form my own opinion, and I'll be honest, I probably still will enjoy it. But I do think that reading this stuff, I'll be honest, I put a lot of this off.
Yeah.
But then when I went and read it, I was pleasantly surprised. You know, and again, this does not take away from the fact I've seen people try to say this is like, oh well, you know, even the fraction run, it kind of absolves it from, you know, the white savior and whitewash stuff. Like, no, I think that I still believe that had they made this an Asian American character, that run would have been even better. You know, it definitely would have been, but you know, we're here now. You know, there's not much more we can do on it. It was a bad decision that was made before, and I think they're trying to make the best out of it, at least in the books. I will say that I'm less forgiving of the TV show because they had an opportunity to correct it right there, then and there, and they didn't. And hey, you gotta live with that. You know, not to mention, I'm gonna say this too. I can say this now because I think a lot of look. If you're gonna do it too, you gotta get a white boy that you could at least get behind. Because Finn Jones literally looks like the most white bread, like unathletic, like white dude I've ever seen in my life. Like, you could have given us a white dude that we could at least, come on, man. Even, man, Even Cumberbatch got some fucking abs. Like, come on, man. Like, that didn't help, yeah. It didn't help. Didn't help. Just saying, you did not do yourself any favors with that one, guys. So, all right, we're gonna take a little bit of a break because we need it. With Character Corners, we might come back at the end of this month. We'll finish up Green Lantern. But I think that's what we're gonna do. I think it's part 2 of Green Lanterns. Then we'll come back. We'll do basically part 2 of Wolverine by doing Wolverine enemies, and then I guess we'll do what are we gonna call it? We're gonna call it Batwomen, or we're gonna call it Batgirls.
We will. Look what you've done.
I don't know what to do. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
So
we got time.
But those are going to be the next 3 we're doing here for the Character Corner. Again, I hope you guys really enjoy these. We love doing them. Again, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Search for Character Corner and leave a 5-star review there. You can email us at mtrailerreviews@movietrailerreviews.net. Yeah, folks, guys, thank you guys very much for listening, and let us know what you guys think. Till next time, we're out of here. Peace.